Hey you guys, it's HealSide Healer here, Heather. I just wanted to go over in this video the 7 stages of spiritual development. Now with this video, it's going to be piggybacking a lot off of the last video that I made, which was the 7 spiritual laws of success. If you have not seen that video, I will post it in the description box below so that you can watch it in your leisure. I strongly encourage you to watch it only because those laws kind of correspond with these stages. So it's good to kind of know info on both of them so that you can have a better understanding of the two. So with that being said, I'm just going to dive right into it. The first stage is innocence. Now, we were born into a material world basically, and our life is dominated by our 3 lower chakras, which is the navel, the pelvic, and the root chakra. And when we come into the world with a state of innocence, basically it's you're innocent as long as you're healthy, as long as you have a loving family, and as long as you're living in pure bliss and joy. That is basically the essence of innocence. Now, when you are young, your intuition is very high. Your spiritual being is very much so awake. The saying where they say, children, see and hear things that we don't, and animals see and hear things that we don't, and stuff like that. Sometimes if you're, laying there with your animal or something, you might sit up there and see, their ears perk up or something like that, and you're, looking, and you're I don't see anything, and it's because, they might feel something or something of the nature, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, that's going to push us along on to stage 2, which is fear and ego. So with this being said, as we grow, as we mature as human beings, the ego starts to emerge. And basically what the ego is when all the love that you were experiencing up until now, it is now being overshadowed by fear. It is now being overshadowed by all the emotions that fear comes with. And that's when you start to realize that you can get things that you want if you please the higher up. Whatever the higher up is, you realize that you can get anything that you want as long as you please the higher up. Okay? So that's when your personality starts to develop also, and you start creating stories and memories that you can tell clear up into this day. So the next stage is power. And with power, you basically desire to overcome fear. And along with fear, you create a success in your life. So with that being said, you start to become educated. You start a career. You start to blossom in whatever field it is that you want to be in, and whatever career that it is that you want. And you start to develop a family. So with having a sense of power, people tend to try to have so much control over things so that it eliminates fear. And with that, you develop a sense of security by, feeling like you have some sort of power, some sort of control, if that makes sense. This goes right along into the next stage, which is stage 4, giving. Now, with this stage, you realize that there's more to life than personal power and material gain. That's when you start to realize that, all the little extra things and stuff like that, they don't really matter. And you realize, how can you sit up there and help others? How can you sit up there and serve this world in some way, shape, or form? That is good. Something good in the world. A part of giving, it should always be an intention behind that. And when there's intention, there's always good. And that's what you have to just keep in mind. And also with a sense of giving, you also have to have some sort of boundary, because you don't want to just give, and then nobody's pouring back into your cup, and then you're empty and you're still giving, but you're really running off of fumes, you know what I mean? So this goes right along into the next stage, which is stage 5, which is the seeker. Now you're starting to begin your spiritual practices, and you're longing for some sort of enlightenment. You're longing for some sort of awakening of some sort of nature, and your decisions start to be coming from your 4th chakra, which is the heart. And as you can see where I'm going with this, you're seeking everything coming from the heart. Therefore, there's intention with that. Therefore, there's a purpose. Therefore, it's good. You're seeking things that is good. You're seeking things that's deeper than you and I. You're digging deep into yourself. And that's what this spiritual journey is literally all about. It is literally all about self. It is all about self. You begin to look at the deeper meaning of life. You begin to start looking deeper into really anything, any aspect, any situation, whatever the case may be. You try to understand why you are here and how your life is working and how things are like moving around you. You start studying different gurus. You might get like a mentor, something of the nature. Like, it's okay for a teacher to have a mentor. Everybody should have some sort of mentor, somebody that is assisting them throughout their journey, because there's good, bad, and ugly in a spiritual journey. And by far, the ugly is the shadow work. The shadow work is going to make you dig deep so far into yourself. It's going to bring out emotions that was suppressed, memories that you tried to forget about, nightmares that you tried to forget about. It's going to dig deep, because all a part of healing is digging deep within yourself. Start from the core, start from the beginning, which is your inner child. Start to heal all the traumas that you had as a child and all that. Start there. And then, go with the next levels. My next video is actually going to be based on shadow work. So with that being said, if you want to learn like some things about shadow work and like where to start and like all that, I'm going to have a video on it. So definitely stay tuned for that so that you can see that after this video. But I'm going to keep pushing forward with this. You're going to start to read books more. You're going to start, as you're reading, you're going to start finding new techniques and things like that, and you're going to try them. And this is when the throat chakra opens and you start to express the qualities that you have on your heart. This is all about your heart center. Moving right along, the next stage is stage 6, sage. That is a tongue twister for me for some reason. But this is when the cosmetic consciousness dawns. And this is when your mind fully awakens. And this is when you start to witness different actions that are happening and the magnitude of the role that you play in your life. And then the fear of death starts to dissolve when you realize that life is just another role. Like, we all just have roles that we need to play. And once you realize that life is just another role, it just kind of, that's when you just really just start to flow. Because, there's nothing to try to get control of. Our life is already planned out before we were even born. So with that being said, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Unless you talk to yourself and you get a bad feeling about something, then that's when okay, I probably shouldn't do it. Use your judgment type time. But there's certain situations in your life that you literally just have no control over, and they just happen. So once you come to that realization, that's when that stage starts to become a little bit easier. And don't get me wrong, just because I'm throwing these stages at you, that doesn't mean oh, I'm not at this stage in my life, so I'm not doing it right or I'm not doing good. Listen, a spiritual journey takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. Healing takes time. So with that being said, give yourself credit and don't be too hard on yourself. We're all trying to figure this out. We are all trying to dig deep. We are all from different things, and all we're just all different, and we all kind of move and function and all that in different ways, and it's okay. I'm just trying to give the assistance and the knowledge and the resources to help try to make it a little bit easier for you, for it to be under an understanding, and for you to understand really what's going on, so that you can dig deep within yourself and really heal. We need a lot more healing in this world. There's a lot of people that are just not healed, and it's really reflecting on how the world looks right now. With that being said, I'm going to jump along into the last stage, which is stage 7, which is spirit. So this is the most important. Your heart is fully awakened at this point. You're experiencing the divine and unity of consciousness, which is so deep. And once you get to that point, it's no turning back. it's like this is what I would rather see, this is what I want, you know, all that here in the in-between time. And I don't want to go back to that confusion. I don't want to go back to just the nonsense and the walking on eggshells. I don't want to go back to that. I want to just stay right here, and I just want to flow. And that's what it's all about, just absolutely flowing. You realize that there is no longer a separation between no giver, no giving, or no given. And with that being said, it's like no selfishness at that point. At that point, it's no I. It's not. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. It's no sense of I or me, just an awareness of oneness. And a lot of that stems off of like judgment too. Like, you know, like you cannot judge anybody, because at the end of the day, like, what makes you any better than anybody else? At the end of the day, we are all struggling with the same things. And if we're not there in our life, we've been there before. So with that being said, you know, you can't really judge anybody for really anything, you know. And at this point, your spiritual practices, it's like pure joy and bliss. You're just completely in your joy when you are practicing these spiritual practices in this stage. And all the chakras at this point will be open. And with that being said, once they are all open and like everything's just like flowing, the spiritual energy is going to flow just effortlessly and just freely. And before you know it, you'll realize that there's no longer choices. You now function in total harmony with nature. And once you come to that point, it's like pure bliss. So that's going to conclude this video for today. I really hope that you guys take these stages very seriously and use them within your spiritual journey. As you study these 7 stages, I would eventually like for everybody to comment below on like how these different stages are helping them, how did it open their minds, and like what it just really taught them overall. I would really like to see what you guys have learned from this. And also don't forget to check out my last video, which was the 7 spiritual laws of success. So thank you for your time, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will be back again to go over shadow work. Thank you for your time, guys. Bye.